Hi, Mr. Hi, everyone. Here we are again just to discuss about the last topic that we already saw. It's something different. It's something new. I don't know if the other one have seen this topic. It's exciting, and today we are going to give our point of view about the part of assessment. So we start with this.
Yes, as you were saying, Airo, it was different, and something that I have in my mind right now is the little difference that exists between assessment and evaluation, because as we were discussing in the morning session of the class. Points can be assigned to the assessment, to the activities. It's like optional. If you want to assign some points, it's okay. If you don't want, it is okay too. But I was thinking that in the cases that it's true that it's a good motivation, especially for Honduran students, as we all know, points are very important. But the thing is, if the teacher assign points to the assessment activities, wouldn't that change the purpose of doing a assessment? Because at the end, the final or the main purpose is to improve learning, to improve teaching or the learning process. But the points are assigned according to the performance of the student. So it would be more like evaluation, because you are judging, you are measure the values or the skills of the students, but with the intention to judge if they have gotten the necessary skills or knowledge, and that's something very different of the purpose of assessing. So I would like to know what do you think, guys?
Well, I really like that you said that it's part of our culture. How many points do we get to each task or activity, because it's part of our culture. Because if we don't see points, if it doesn't have points, we don't do it, and it's very like Honduran people, something that Honduran people have. Another thing that I like, that I want to mention about assessment, is that it is really important for us as a teacher to understand how to develop an activity and the difference there are between formative assessment, summative assessment, and the evaluation, because they are different, and we have to take care about which one we will use with our students, and we also have to take care about how many points do we give them. Also, we have to be careful about the performance of the students, because we have to be sure that the amount of points that we will give them is the adequate for the assignment. And yeah, just that.
Okay, personally, I feel that it is really important as teachers knowing the difference between evaluation and assessment. It's essential because in that way we can become the best instructor for our future students. Because now that I have learned this, my thinking has really changed. And I'm sure that what I want to apply in my future classes is assessment, especially because I remember a lot of examples on my study journey in which teachers just give me instructions or different activities to do, and they didn't give me any kind of feedback. So I was really confused and lost because I didn't know how was I doing, how was my my job, right, my development. So I know that is a really low quality of learning, and yeah, I just want to say that we can change our system out, our education system as a whole country, but we can change ourselves, we can change our way of thinking, and yeah, at least we are able to change ourselves and the goals we want to achieve in our classes, and not just at the end of the class, but through all the different units. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Genesis, that thing that you said that, teachers didn't give you feedback, that's terrible. I mean, because we always need feedback in everything we do. We always need feedback in your jobs and in school, in everything. You even doing a sport, you always need your coach feedback. I found interesting that, I was analyzing the things that you said and what we were talking about with Mr. Douglas, that we are point lovers. We care only about points, right? And it's really difficult to change this habit when we are older. When we are kids, if you analyze your school journey, when we were kids, teachers left homeworks, but they didn't tell you how much did they cost, or how much we were given, the points. We knew about how many points we got until almost before an exam, but with biweekly reports, etc. And I think we should apply this in higher education, for example, with us, because and something that I was talking with Nelson that caught our attention was the thing with formative assessment. We didn't know, and I was surprised when Mr. Douglas told us that formative assessments may and may not be graded. That will depend on us. You could leave a homework, but that homework, even though it's a formative assessment, it couldn't have points. You just leave it for the purpose of helping the students to grow, right? And I found that really interesting because I don't know you guys, but every assignment I have done until now in this program, even though it's an formative assessment, they are all graded. And that's why I honestly think that has, how can I say this? That has influence on us in creating that habit of, be attentive of our points. Because of that, we don't do things to learn, because we're more worried about how we'll get all the points or not. We don't do it. Well, how can I say this? I don't know if this has a translation, but no lo hacemos de corazón, if you know what I mean. We are just doing because we have to and because it is graded, but we are not loving it. And I have seen this in many of us, many students from university, and it's really difficult to change this. It is really hard because you are with that mindset that you have to do the homework because it is graded. And as Mr. Douglas said, if I leave you a homework and I told you guys this will not have points, you will definitely not do it, or maybe just 2 out of 50 students will do it. And that's really, it's a pity, that we think like that.
Yeah. Will you do it, Heather? Will you do that homework?
I will. The problem right now is the time.
Because we don't have enough time.
Yeah, honestly, I am telling you guys that if Mr. Douglas told me right now, like, I'm going to leave you this big homework of 5 pages, right now in this system, I would not do it because we don't have time. I think I feel that I don't have time. I don't know, not even for eating sometimes. So, but I think in other situations, I would totally do it.
We have time, but not life.
And at the end, we're gonna have a benefit out of it. You know, and these of all, I have been in university since 2018, and I have only seen this type of, not putting grades to the assignments only in one teacher, in one class, and it was from the French orientation. She gave us a class that were more, were formative assessments, and they didn't have points. I don't know what strategy or what technique she used, but we were all motivated to actually do that thing. But with the other classes, I haven't seen this before. That was my my thing to say.
Thank you, Heather. Hello, everyone. Well, I think that this lesson absolutely helped me to understand the difference between assessment and evaluation, as you all had said, because it's true. I think that all of us, or some of us, used to think that assessment and evaluation was the same. But in my case, what I thought was that assessment was just diagnostic tests, that the ones that we do at the beginning of the class, when the teacher assigns a test in order to know if we had the skills or the previous knowledge that we had about a specific topic or about the class in general. I used to think that evaluation was just in order to measure the knowledge that we acquire, and it was always that we always needed to assign points. When we started this lesson, I could understand that there are some kinds of assessment which are formative, summative, and diagnostic. And also I learned that there is a time in which we can apply this kind of assessment, and when should we apply it and when should we assign points. And as the teacher say, it is up to us. As Heather just said, there are some that is just for our growing, and we sometimes don't understand that just because we are not going to acquire some points, we think that we are not going to learn as well, and that's a wrong idea. I think that we should appreciate all the activities that teachers provide for us, because they are all in order for us to grow and to keep learning, and that's my opinion.
You guys, I'm sure that you know the feeling of anticipation when you're about to take a quiz or a test, or you know that you have something for the next day or week. You are being anticipated and you know what you have to do. So when it comes to exams and essays, along with speeches and projects, those are forms of assessment. And I do believe when I get to the point to be a future teacher, I wouldn't like to leave homeworks and just, all right, this is my point of view, and say that I'm not going to give any points because I know that my students are not going to be motivated to do it. So instead of saying, okay, I'm going to leave the homework and I'm not going to give you guys no points, I'm so sorry. I would say we are going to have a discussion. We're going to have an open class discussion where we can talk, we can debate, use different words okay, to motivate students to read certain assignments that we leave them. So I do believe in that part, it will be more motivating for them, okay? Because as an example, if a teacher tells me, in the system that we are right now, I'm going to leave a homework and I'm not going to give you no points, I will do it, but I wouldn't pay no mind just to copy and paste it and just give my opinion because I'm not motivated like at all. So keeping it real with you guys, I do believe that it's okay and to be open-minded, to be more flexible when it comes to leaving assignments, not just to leave them, because we have to understand, and depending on the level that we are going to teach, we have to know how students behave. That's my point of view.
I think that's very, very interesting because I totally agree with you. I actually want to go back to several things many of you have said. And first of all, it's, as you said, after all, it's not leaving assignments just because, it's in order for students and us to improve. So if we don't do it with a purpose, what's the point of doing it at all? And as Ada, I think, or Mafed, I'm not sure, was saying they never received feedback. And that is also important. How do you know if you're improving, or what do you need to improve if you don't know it? So you need that feedback in order to get it right. And another very important thing that I think everyone should go back to is that often the word evaluation is linked with stress. So every evaluation, every assessment, every homework is so linked to stress because of that. Everyone gives it the importance to the points, not the actual outcome, not the actual performance you're giving about the topic or the language. You're not evaluating actually if you're speaking correctly, if you're having the right pronunciation, if you're using the verbs correctly, but most of all, if you are using the right letter, if you did it with the spacing, if you did it. So do we have to focus on that, only on that, or on both things as well? So I think those things are linked together, and it is important to not link evaluation or assessment or homework with stress in order for students to be motivated and want to actually learn. So thank you very much.
Okay, so interesting. All the parts that we have joined today. First of all, Valeria was Genesis, who never received the feedback. But it's kind of interesting to hear all your point of view, because when I became teacher, I was afraid. And now I think that teachers sometimes are afraid of their students. Why? Because when I started applying activities, when I started with some activities in the class, I was thinking that, okay, my students are not going to do this because I'm not going to give points. Or I was afraid because I was thinking, okay, my students are not going to do this. My students will not be able to do it because they know that they are not points. So motivation off in this case. So I think that first of all, some teachers could be afraid in this case. Something interesting that I can recap is what Valeria said, is that sometimes we do our homework, we start working on our task, but we don't put mind on what we are doing. In this case, we are trying to see if we have the font, the ideal font, if we have the 200 words that the task needs, or something like that, and we are like, okay, 150 words more. And I start working, but I don't know what I am writing in this case. So the assessment can be false in this case. I can assess you guys, but I don't know if you did a real work or if you are learning something in this case. But that's I cannot say that is not my problem, because as teachers, I need to know what my students are doing, what my students are learning in this case. But I cannot control them. I cannot take control of what they are doing by their homes. In this case, I'm talking about a virtual assessment. That is something that for me it's really important to know. Wow, why? Because it's something that we already learned, not by a class, not in a class, not in a topic, but in our life. We already we have 1 year with the learning virtual assessment, sorry, and it's kind of difficult. It's something hard, even harder than in face-to-face, because what I cannot control, as I was saying. As I don't Heather said that just her French teacher didn't get points in a determined task, and I can take that too, because when I was taking French class, that was exactly the same as me, as Maria Fernanda, that was my classmate. I remember that. I remember that some activities, some homework didn't have points. And what happened? In this case, the activity was funny. The activity was meaningful, and we were engaged in that activity. So we didn't care that the activity didn't have points, but we already know that we learned something. And it was exciting because in all the university, we were like a little French in Honduras. We were speaking French with the activity that we just did in the class. And it was exciting. So I think that motivation could be something that can help in that case when we are not giving points in the task or something like that. Sometimes even when you are, I don't know if Valeria, that is a teacher, has some students that they say, okay, I'm going to apply this test or this little quiz, or we are going to play for 5 minutes, and one student, Miss or Mister, how many points? In this case, what? No, we are going to play. This is in order just to know if you already learned something, if you have all the knowledge, you have the capacity of applying that topic in the real life, because sometimes we put activities that it's just a game. But what happened with we? Yeah?
It's like assistance point.
Yes.
Because you can just enter the class and you have the points.
Yes.
And are easy points.
And yeah, something like that. It's like, okay, I'm going to be doing the class. Even for participation, for attendance list. If you're in the class, you have 5 points, extra points at the final of the term, at the end of the term. But okay, I'm going to be in the class here virtually. I'm going to be in the class. I'm going to put my microphone off, and just that. Okay, the teacher passed the list. I already said present, and yeah, I already have my 5 extra points, and that's something cool for me. But it's something that I think that it's not fair, or it's not something that we need to give. It's as the Mister always said, is that sometimes we are connected, but we are not in the class. But we want points. We want to have all the assessment, the fair assessment in this case. We want to have our points, because my name was on the computer. I was on the computer all the hour, or my teachers were in the classes. We talk about face to face. My students were in the class, but if you ask to the students at the final of the class, they learned anything. So it's kind of stressful, as Valeria said, because we can stress students and we can stress ourselves as teachers. If we don't give the fair assessment, if we don't give the motivated or the awesome activity, we can get frustrated and we can frustrate our students. So I think that it was like a really reflective topic that we could touch today. So it was nice, it was great. And thank you very much, guys. So I can feel that today we enjoyed the group discussion and it was great. So thank you very much to you all for being here. And thank you very much, Mr. and all the classmates that already watched this video. So I don't know if you have something else to say or just bye. Okay, thank you very much to you all and see you next time.
See you
See you
guys.
next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.